Hello, champions and social media family. Welcome back to Creating a Seat at the Table. I'm Denise, your host. As many of you know me, formerly as Miss Please from Real Talk. I hosted a radio show for 4 years and a YouTube channel. I'm an unorthodox radio personality. And of course, our show is about everything and anything under the sun, from marriage, family, education, finance, mortgage, and relationships. We talk about all things taboo. So if you're uncomfortable, let's get comfortable and have those great conversations. As we delve into our segment, you'll hear success stories from those skilled in their craft, as well as opportunities learned along the many journeys shared. We may share tears, frustration, aha moments, and moments that make you just bring out every emotion from compassion to defensiveness. But this walk will open your eyes, jog your memory, and most of all, bring the subject to light that others would consider taboo. So let's just have a real talk. Our mission today is to talk about the journey, and the episode is sponsored by denisebowles.com, where we offer easy to follow, cutting edge approaches to gain leadership momentum from entry level to top leadership. Today's guest is Julie Brendor. Welcome, Julie. Julie is the chapter co-chair of the Las Vegas SCORE. She has been a volunteer since 1997 with years of experience in starting a business, growing a business, and selling a business. Julie, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Denise.
Thank you for joining us. I love this. I love it. And you're amazing in your craft. Today, we're talking about women in entrepreneurship. And you said that you started a business at a very young age. Tell us about your journey.
Well, I can tell you that I was actually a sociology major going to become a social worker, and I met the man of my dreams who was in Israel at the time importing jewelry. And so he was a jewelry importer, and we fell in love. After 2 weeks, he proposed to me, and we were married 6 months later. And our business began as an importing business. And then it evolved into manufacturing jewelry because we couldn't always rely on the delivery. And if you get a late delivery, you lose the order. So we did importing, manufacturing, wholesale. We had retail stores. And I sold my business after 20 years and realized, being a woman in business, there's a disadvantage when you're in a male dominated industry, but
Okay.
women overachieve and can get anything done when they put their mind to it.
Wow. So after 20 years, so you did jewelry and you manufactured. So what was it like? Did you own your own factory? Did you have someone do the work
So
for you?
So it's interesting. What we ended up doing was we had a partner that we brought into the business who had some manufacturing background, sent him to a 4-day course in Providence, Rhode Island, which is the jewelry capital of the world. He learned how to make jewelry, and we bought some used equipment with $1,000. And it was my husband, myself, a partner, a cousin, a friend. It was like 6 of us, and we rented a very small space and started creating sterling silver jewelry. And then we grew the business. After about 2 years, we bought a building, 8,500 square feet,
Oh, wow.
and expanded the business. And then we were doing trade shows, and we started selling to the majors. Kmart, all the discount stores, Target, Home Shopping. We just built it. It exploded with over 100 employees. And my husband died when I was 36 years old.
Oh,
And I stayed in
no.
the business and was able to maintain and actually doubled the business in the 5 years. And then there was a partnership dispute, and I sold the business and retired at the age of 41, but overcoming so many obstacles that, here I am giving back, helping other women through the struggles of owning a business. As we all know, there's no job security. And so if you can own a business, you can create your destiny and you can become as successful as you want to be.
Wow. So let me ask you, you said that there was challenges and you had to take over. So first off, I'm sorry to hear about your husband. That had to be a devastation, and that you're a mom also. So you were wearing several hats at one time. You were really on your grind. How was it when you had these meetings and you had to work with men? You're in a male dominant arena. So what was that like? How did you deal with the stereotype of, well, you're a woman and you probably don't even belong here?
Well, of course, they look at you and they say, I'd like to talk to the boss. And I have to say, well, you're looking at the boss. What happens is a man feels like they need to make all the decisions and run everything. And I can tell you there were a couple things, a couple mistakes that I made. One thing was I allowed the partner to maintain the relationships with the customers. And so he would say things like, they won't deal with you, they're men, or you're Jewish and they don't like Jews when we were dealing with
Um,
Kmart. And so,
mhm.
men will kind of put you down in a way that make you feel like you shouldn't be in the business arena. And so that
Mhm.
was one mistake that I will warn each and every one of you, never ever give up control with your customer relationships. Never ever give up control with your money. Bookkeepers stole from us. Every bookkeeper
Oh.
we ever had took
Mhm.
money from us. And so never, ever, always maintain the bills and oversee the bills and sign the checks. Don't let anybody else have control of your money. And the other thing is really to make sure that you continuously look at the business to make sure you're profitable. You have to pivot when things don't go well. You have to really know what your costs are, what your expenses are, and you must be profitable. If you're not profitable, there's no reason to be in business. So those are my tips for just maintaining control.
Did you have to do a lot of traveling to maintain these relationships?
That was the thing. I did have three daughters, and um, I tried to limit my um, traveling. I did
Mhm.
it as often as I could, but that also, I wanted to be home for the kids. And so I delegated to someone who could do that. That might have been another mistake, but I did travel every single year. We did the biggest jewelry show in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Mhm.
And my daughter remembers I was never home for her birthday. Kids remember those things.
Oh,
I was a
yes.
widow at 36 and my kids were 6, 7, and 12. And so their sports, their birthdays, all of those things meant something to them. And so when I wasn't there and there wasn't a father and not much of a family, it was hard for them. And they do remember those things.
So
But you
what would
do the best you can.
and I agree. I have children, so I truly agree. What would you say to the women and our listeners, even the men out there that are single parents that are interested because of this pandemic and 2020's uncertainty, that they should start a business and they've been, it's a perfect time. The doors have opened or the portal. What do you say to them for encouragement? Because you do have to sacrifice something, and you do have to invest in yourself.
When starting a business, I always say start small. Start with your own money, your own money, friends and family. Start small, test the market. There's so much need out there right now. People need help with, teaching their kids, delivery. A lot of service businesses really are making it. And you can buy something and resell it. There are so many ways to give the market what it's asking for. But you need to look at the trends. You need to see what you have. You have to know that when you start a business, you may not make a profit for a year or two. So make sure you have enough overhead covered. We say 6 months to a year of your overhead, your personal expenses should be covered. And of course, your business is got to be sustainable. And that means really knowing what your costs are and your profit margin. So for us, we needed a 40% minimum profit margin to cover our overhead and take a salary. So every industry is a little different. A
Mm-hmm.
higher profit margin, the better. In the manufacturing aspect, where we sold millions of pieces, our profit margin was 15%. But I want to tell you that when we sold to Kmart and they wanted to give us a $500,000 return, I called in an accounting firm to figure out, is it something we should do? Of course, you never want to say no to your largest account.
Right.
But they said to me, if you take that return back, you will lose all your profit for 5 years and go out of business. And when I sold my business, my partner actually lost the business after 5 years. So again, you really have to keep control of your expenses, your income, and really know your profit margins and how to maintain that profitability in business. So again, make sure you get your professional team together, your accountant, your lawyer, your CPA, your banker for lines of credit if you need some short-term money, managing and SCORE is here for you. SCORE, we are volunteers. We're here free of charge, business experts who can help you manage all of these challenges that you may be faced with. So take advantage.
And it's
Las,
free.
it's free, lasvegas.score.org. And if you could take a picture of the QR code, it will bring you right to our website. So please, there's 10,000 volunteers across the country that you can talk to with every single business background you can imagine.
I love it. And SCORE helps with what piece of it? Just the brainstorming, the business license. What part do they help with? And I you have
business planning, financial plans. I mean, everything. I mean, I've been involved in all aspects of business. So I can help you in any industry. I have a real estate background. I have retail. I have, just common sense business is what you need. And unfortunately, when we talk to our friends and family who have no business experience and they try to give you advice, do not listen to them. Do not listen to anybody but an expert. You must get the information from an expert. I mean, I call lawyers and accountants all the time to ask questions, and they'll always give you a half an hour for free. So, take advantage of someone who's doing it every single day, not somebody who maybe owns a business or had a business or never had a business and think they can tell you what to do. Don't listen.
That's funny you say that because yes, you do have to go to the expert. Um, a lot of businesses do fail because they don't reach out and ask someone something. They just feel, hey, I've been great at making cupcakes. And my neighbors love it, the kids at school love it. So I am going to start a cupcake company. And then they take loans out on their house. And then within the first 6 months, they're out of business.
I have a client who makes brownies, like the best brownies in the world, and she wanted to sell them. And so we went through the exercise of all the costs, all the labor, and what she would have to sell those brownies for. She could not make enough money because she wasn't able to sell enough volume to the local stores. And she's a speech pathologist, so she charges $250 to $300 an hour. What would you rather do? Again, going through that exercise, she has a professional business credential. To make brownies for no profit or minimal profit just doesn't make sense. So her brownies will continue to be her hobby and her business will be her business, and that's what pays the rent. So we have to think about that. Do you need a paycheck, or can you actually create a profitable business?
So let me ask you, you said that you started your business, you grew your business, and then you sold it. How did you grow the business?
Growing the business is as simple as finding many, many different ways to distribute your products. So we were a mass distribution. We had a factory and we did lost wax casting. And so we were selling to retail stores. We got returns because we offered a return policy. That inventory had to be sold many different ways. So we did corporate sales to hospitals, women's auxiliaries in every hospital in this tri-state area. We sold our jewelry and gave those hospitals 20% of the sale. That was one way of distributing. We had other people doing that for us around the country, and that was distributing jewelry. We also had teachers that were buying jewelry from us and selling it to their other teachers in schools. We also had mail order customers. We did trade shows. We were a member of a jewelry association that did shows, also mass distribution, so delivery shows, selling it as many, we had other people buying it and reselling to stores. So as many ways as you could sell that jewelry. I also did consignment. I took my jewelry and did consignment in beauty salons because when you're getting your hair done, you need some earrings to go with your new hairdo. So I did well doing that. So consignment, every possible way of distributing product, 5 ways always is better. And the same with a service business. How many different markets can you capture? Maybe you have homes, maybe you have offices, maybe you have, other areas, schools, there's just a million different ways to sell your services and products. And that's really what you need to look at, the distribution.
So when they say that you need 7 streams of income, this is a way to create the 7 streams. It's how you distribute, correct?
Yeah, and the trade shows in the day, trade shows put us on the map because all the majors went to the trade shows. So if you could have an exhibit at a trade show, you'll get more exposure than identifying people or accounts or businesses to sell to. So that gives you a broader audience. Trade shows have changed. I know the jewelry show is now virtual, but any kind of exposure you can get, any kind of free advertising you can get as well.
So I like that. The other thing is, I know you had mentioned is that you have a nonprofit also. Are you there?
What does that sound? Yeah.
I don't know. What do you
Is
hear?
that on your end or my end? It sounds like a doorbell or a timer or something going off. Do you hear it?
No.
Okay, well, I started a profit. Let me tell you how that started. So my husband was diagnosed with leukemia, and we wanted to find the cure for his disease. There was no known cure. And so we ended up starting a nonprofit because our goal was to fund the research so he could be cured of leukemia. And we actually, my husband grew up with Michael Bolton and he became our national chairperson. And so we did annual events with Michael Bolton performing and raised millions to the Cancer Research Institute. And of course, quality of life for cancer. There's still no known cure, but there is a quality of life that we can say, and people are living longer with cancer. So the one that he had was CML, and Gleevec was a cure 10 years later after he died that became about. But again, your passion for nonprofit, that drove us. He didn't survive. They gave him 18 months to live and he died 2 years later. But, the research is continuing and we continue to raise money.
Oh, so you still do have the nonprofit?
Yes.
How can people donate to you?
This close to a cure.org is the name of the nonprofit. This close to a cure. That's our logo.
I love that. Oh my God, that's amazing. So you've been through a lot, from a single mom, married, starting a business, widowed, raising 3 children, and your children, you said, are doing wonderful now.
It's hard. It's hard growing up without a father. They were the one I'll never forget my oldest daughter in junior high, that the kids would literally point to her and say, "That's the girl who doesn't have a dad." Can you
Oh, that's
imagine? It
hurtful.
traumatized her. And my youngest one, who's 35, basically said, "You don't need a dad." I grew up fine without a dad. So it just depends on how it affects you. I have three daughters, and they were all, it's something that is missing, but we're not the only ones in the world. We overcome. I also grew up without a dad. My dad left when I was 7. And
Mhm.
so I never really had a dad myself.
Mm.
So I just tried to make life as stable and as happy and as fun as I could so my kids could, grow up. And of course, they're all successful and have created an amazing life for themselves and their families. I have my 5th grandchild coming any day.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations. So you also told me that you did real estate.
Yes. So after I sold my business, can you imagine this? I had 100 employees. I mean, working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, one day. And the next day, I'm handed the check. I'm returning my company car, and I have nowhere to go and nothing to do. And so I got my real estate license. I
Mhm.
got my MBA. I took up
Congratulations.
golf. I did art. I did everything. I needed to recreate myself. And many of us go through that. As you know, people change jobs 7 times in their life. And so I started doing commercial real estate. And of course, that's a male dominated industry. And the guys in commercial real estate said, "Why are you doing commercial real estate?" Well, first of all, I grew up in the business. I owned commercial real estate with my building for my business. It's what I understand. So when you go into
Mhm.
business, you want to do something you understand. I did some residential for some friends, but commercial was the way to go. And I still do investment properties to this day.
Oh,
So I'm involved in, and again, that's something I mentor. A lot of people want to go into real estate investing, and there's a
mhm.
formula that we have to follow. And I can go over those things with you to make sure there's a return on investment. Business is always a return on investment. So when you put in money, you have to make sure you get something back.
So let me ask you, you said that you golf, and I know this is like a off topic, but why golf? Because I also have been learning to golf because that's where, for me, that's where business has always been made in the male dominant world. But
Well,
why
it's
golf?
really it's really interesting. So let me just tell you, I thought men golf, and I was a widow at 36 years old, and I thought, well, you know what? Let me start playing golf and see if I can meet some men. I just want to tell you, men do not want to play golf with women. But I did find a group of women that I would play
Mhm.
golf with 3 times a week in Connecticut that were retired. We were all retired and we enjoyed playing golf. It's a really wonderful sport because you're out in nature and
Mhm.
it's a challenge and it's fantastic. And I used to have the golf pro actually take me to each hole and teach me how to shoot at the holes. But I love it. I just loved it. I'm not as serious as the men who throw their sticks and do all that. It's just fun and it's a great way to connect with women. And so I really enjoyed playing golf.
That is my favorite. I know that there's a women's golf league or club here, and during the pandemic, you see it more now than anything. And they're like, "No, come on over." So that's going to be my next to do.
I'd love to play golf with you.
Oh,
Let's
I
hit
love
some
it.
balls. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
well,
love it.
I'm new at this, but yes, I do
It's
like golf.
okay.
And
It's really just the fun of being out there. And I always play at public courses. I thought about
yes.
joining a country club, and I have to tell you, I went through that financial piece of how many days could I play golf, divided by the golf membership. And
Hmm.
the country club I wanted to join, it wasn't cost effective. It was cheaper
Ah,
for me to pay as I went than to
hmm.
become a member of the club. And so, again, I'm very driven by money. I'm insecure by it because as a single, you know, woman for many, many years and not having income, I had to figure out other ways to make money. And so, I was always cautious and worried about, depreciating assets. Like, do you buy a brand new car or fully depreciated car. I
Fully
always buy
depreciated.
a fully depreciated car. That body style didn't change, because when you're in real estate, you need that image. So the Mercedes didn't
Yes.
change for 10 years. Now it's different. But in the 90s, I could buy a 1992 and it stayed the same until 2000. And so it always looked like I was driving a new car, but it was an old car. So again, different industry have different types of, the image of success is important when you do real estate.
Oh,
So the
yes.
car meant a lot. Now in Las Vegas, as a retired person, I'm very happy with my Prius. That
I
gives
love
me a
it.
lot of joy. So all
I
of those
love it.
things change as we age. The status and material possessions don't mean much, especially now during the pandemic, right?
Yes, and it's funny you say that a depreciation of a car is because Susan Orman also said, she said, you buy a car, a used car, and you keep that car for 10 years. Don't
That's
buy a
right.
new car, it depreciates. There's no value in it. You lose your money. You
Right.
know, to put your money elsewhere, like in stocks and investments. That's what she said to do. And you did say that you had other ways of creating income. You did mention that you did the stock market and you guys did very well.
So again, once I sold my business, I've been fully invested in the stock market. I've made a very good return on my investment. In fact, I went through the exercise of hiring, stockbroker, and they take a fee. And I realized I could
Oh,
do better without them. So I was so insecure. I had 5 different brokerage accounts with 5 different brokers. And what I ended up realizing, again, as you get more comfortable in buying and selling stock and picking stocks,
mhm.
I just, you look around you and you determine where is the growth in the industry. And we can see right now Amazon exploding, you know,
Yes.
Netflix exploding. I bought Facebook when it's first started, and one of my brokers said, don't buy it. I wanted Google when it first came on at 98. Don't buy it. But you go with your gut. If you look around you, the stocks that you should be buying,
Yeah.
and
And well,
start small, buy 10 shares and just let it sit there, and don't look at it every day. Let it sit
mhm,
there. And there is dividend paying stocks. I mean, I like Fidelity. They have people
I
you
do
could talk
too.
to 24 hours a day. Their fees are low, and you learn as you go with a little amount of money. You know, that was just what I did, and I've been good at it. I should have been a stockbroker, but again, I didn't want to go through the Series 7 or taking the test or sitting at a desk or doing it for other
Oh,
people. I do it for
yes.
my friends and family. And, as long as I don't have to work hard and just let, my, you know,
Your stocks do their stuff.
let everything else do its thing,
I love it.
passive income is what they call it. So real
Yes.
estate investments, stocks is passive income. So you can,
So I can sum it up. I know you have another meeting to go to, and I appreciate you joining us today on creating a seat at the table. How would you, what advice would you give our listeners and viewers today? Or it could be a
I,
quote, whatever.
I would say never ever give up. Just continue. People are going to say that'll never work. Don't do it. Do not give up. Be persistent. Do what you love what you do. And when it stops being fun, it's really time to get out. Many of us are in a job and we are giving advice to our bosses. Why don't we do this? And the boss
Oh,
doesn't
yes.
listen. When you have your own business, you are your future. You can go any way you want. Always go with your gut. Your gut is always right, and never ever give up your dream. And you know what's right. You know it because you've been there, and you know. So
That's
good luck
awesome.
to everybody. And please, I'm happy to help each and every one of you. Go to score.org for help. There's a lot of free resources out there and a lot of um, things that you can do.
And a lot
So,
of talented people. It's just real fast. Score does allow you to read the bio of a lot of the mentors, and their backgrounds are extensive. They're not only retired, but they're experts in their field.
Yes. Take
Yes.
advantage. It's something that people don't really know is available, but you can talk to one mentor, you could talk to 5 mentors, you can talk to as many people as you'd like. Everybody, business is not an exact science. So, any way you decide to build your business and run your business, again, always remember profitability. You need to make that profit. So, if you can make a profit doing anything,
Mhm.
do it.
Well, awesome.
And good luck.
Thank you, Julie, for joining us on Creating a Seat at the Table. Julie Brendor has been our guest. She's been wonderful, and she's been talking to us about women in entrepreneurship. Julie, thank you, and we hope to have you again visit our show. You have a great day.
Thank you all. Be
Thank you.
safe.
Bye-bye.